So today we're going to do a veggie lunch, and we have got some tomatoes, so we're just going to do roasted tomatoes with some mixed herbs on the top. And we're going to do also a roasted cauliflower, and then we're going to do a lentil and carrot salad to go with those two, and probably some tahini that I love to drizzle as a sauce over roasted cauliflower. So this is what we're cooking today. So when you're roasting something in the oven and the oven is on anyway, it's kind of cool to combine various different things that you can roast together, so you're kind of using the energy to cook several things. I love just putting vegetables in the oven and roasting them. So these are organic tomatoes, which we're gonna give a quick wash. And then all we're going to do with them is we're gonna cut them in half, or if they're slightly bigger, you cut them into quarters. Drizzle a bit of olive oil over them, salt and pepper, and some mixed herbs. And then roast them in the oven for about half an hour. Again, as you're doing it, send a bit of love in there, a bit of Reiki energy. Say thank you to the food before you cook it. And then they will just go into the oven for about half an hour. So now we're going to do roasted cauliflower, just as easy as the roasted tomatoes. So we're just going to take the leaves off, and don't throw them away. You can use them in soups or in veggie pastes. I'm going to now just cut the florets off. And because I want them to be ready within half an hour, I'm going to cut the florets in half. I put the middle bit in as well, so the hard bit in the middle. Don't discard it. I quite like roasting it. If you don't want it in this dish, leave it with the leaves and put it into a soup or into a veggie paste. Right, so we've got cauliflower all cut up into florets, very similar to the tomatoes. We're going to drizzle some olive oil over it. And then with cauliflower, I personally really love cumin on it. I've been away on holiday and I don't seem to have any ground cumin in here at the moment, so we're going to use cumin seeds, which are just as good. And they will really sort of develop their flavor as they're roasting. So again, I like just giving it a little turning, so the salt, the pepper, that the oil really coats all the sides of the cauliflower. And while you're doing it again, say thank you to the cauliflower for growing, for feeding us, sending that love into there. I promise you it will end up on your plate when you're eating it. The love you put in while you're making it. So that now also goes in the oven with the tomatoes. And we're going to put a timer on for about half an hour. So I've got some lentils on the stove here that I'm boiling, and what I want to make is almost like a little lentil not stir fry, maybe, I don't know, a salad. They're just boiling for about half an hour probably until they're cooked through. They can still be a little bit al dente, but you don't want them sort of soft and mushy, but put a little bit of salt in the water. So you can just use carrots, you can just have the lentils by themselves. I'm going to chop these really small carrots and a bit of courgette, put them on a tray, roast them in the oven as well, and we're going to mix those with the lentils in the end to kind of create a warm lentil salad. So I've just been to Germany, and my aunt every year for her grandkids feeds a rabbit. And it's great because all this sort of leftover just goes to the rabbit. So the rabbit gets fed on the things that I would throw in the compost. And by the end of the season, you've got a rabbit stew as well. Like literally, that's what they do. It's Germany. It's very much, even the children are being taught, where their food comes from. And even though they might have the rabbit to cuddle it and to feed it, they know as well that by the end of the season, it will be eaten. And that was quite, it's something you have to get your head around as a child. We used to always keep rabbits. Sometimes we had 10 or 15 of them, but they would all get killed because that was our food. So I guess that disconnectedness that we so often have, where, you buy, chicken in a supermarket in a plastic, and most kids don't even make the connection that this is an animal or was an animal. So you don't eat it with the reverence and the gratitude that you should eat it with, because you have essentially killed another being. We're killing another being and cutting a carrot in a way. So at least when you do it to survive, do it with gratitude and reverence and respect for the life you are taking to sustain your own. So we've cut up here now carrot and courgette. Same thing, bit of olive oil, salt and pepper on it. If you fancy any spices, curry powder, whatever you fancy, just put it on. So when we're roasting several things, you can see now I've in my mind already, I put the tomatoes in first, then the cauliflower, now I'm putting this in because I know this is going to need a lot less roasting time. So it will all be ready together. This has now got about 18 minutes left. When we get it out, it will all be finished together and we can take it out together. Right, one of the other things I have just done on a trip to Germany, which is one of my favorite things in my childhood. We're going to do a very simple cucumber salad. So if you have a kitchen machine that has a setting, you can cut it in there and it will be much quicker. I'm going to just do it with a very old-fashioned kitchen grater. I want slices of cucumber, so I'm going to use the sides. Careful when you get to the end that you don't cut your fingers. So I'm going to make a dressing just with oil, apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of maple syrup and some salt and pepper. 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, 2 tablespoons of vinegar. So again, salt and pepper. We're going to put our cucumbers in there. Mix it all in. You might want, and then you leave it to stand for a bit. So you want it to marinate for a little bit before you eat it. Have a little taste, see if you like the sort of sweet and sour combination you've got there. If it's too sour, add a bit more maple syrup. If it's too sweet, add a bit more vinegar. I think this can do with a bit more salt. And again, I almost don't want to give you the salt and pepper ratios because it's so individual what people like. So experiment with it. Add a little bit more. It's always easier, obviously, to add than to take away, so be careful. So my food is probably saltier than a lot of other people might like theirs. So go with your own taste buds and don't necessarily follow mine. Cucumber, as it marinates, because it has so much water in it, is going to sort of release the water, its own water into the marinade as well. So usually you can add a little bit more salt than you initially think it needs because it will absorb it and dilute it with the water. So what we're going to do with that now, because it is spring and we've got chives growing in the garden, we're going to go and get some fresh chives to just chop them up and put them into the salad as well. So just as you're coming out the kitchen, I have herbs in all sorts of areas, but here is a lovely little pot, and that has lots of chives in it, has some rosemary in it, it's got some thyme in, it's got some lemon balm in here, and I've got some little flowers in just to give it some aesthetic value as well. So we're just going to cut off some chives. When you cut chives, you want to cut them as close to the bottom as you can. Lemon balm is amazing because it just grows without needing any attention whatsoever, and it's abundant in my garden. So we're going to put that in with our carrot salad today. So with chives, I wash them, and then I find the easiest way to cut them is actually to cut them with scissors. There are dry bits, just take them out again, and you just cut tiny little bits with the scissors straight away. You can also do it with a knife on the board, but I do find this is the easiest way to work with chives. I did go out earlier and I picked some wild garlic flowers that are out at the moment. So we're just gonna take those off and sprinkle them on as a bit of decoration. So you all know how I love my flowers on food. I've got some chives left, so we're also gonna chop some of these in here. Add extra nutrients into your food. Add the green color. So with the sort of orange of the carrots, it'll be really nice, a really nice contrast. And into the carrot salad, we're also gonna put some lemon balm leaves. Just gives it a really lovely aromatic lemon flavor. Again, if you've got mint, use mint. If you've got marjoram, whatever you might have growing on your windowsill or in your garden, you can just add that in. Anything would go in that sort of salad. If you're pressed for time, by all means do use your kitchen machine. But if you're doing it by hand, it means you've got the time to put the love in. So in my head now, I will go, thank you, lemon balm, for growing in my garden in abundance, so I can put you into my food in abundance and give my lentil, carrot and courgette salad today that beautiful flavor of lemon balm. And you just chop it as small as you like. I also picked just a few wild garlic leaves, so I'm just going to chop those up as well and put them into the lentil salad. Now that the wild garlic is flowering, the leaves will have lost some of their flavor anyway. They won't be as potent anymore as they used to be. It was only today I thought I'll pick the last ones and make it a conscious sort of goodbye to the wild garlic season. So while we're waiting the last few minutes for the vegetables to cook in the oven, we are going to make a tahini sauce. Tahini sauce you buy ready-made. I buy mine in a health food shop, but you can get them in any supermarket as well. And tahini sauce is basically just sesame seeds. So a bit like you would make peanut butter or almond butter. If you mush up sesame seeds, you get tahini. The jar is nearly finished, so I'm going to make a bit more, and so that will be 3 tablespoons that we've used there, 3 good heaped tablespoons. Okay, and we'll add a little bit of water to that. That was probably no more than a couple of tablespoons of water. I'm just going to work that in. There is a point where when you're adding it in, the tahini almost becomes a bit firmer to start with before it softens. So that's totally normal. And then I'm going to add some lemon juice. So juice of 1 lemon to go into it. And then it's a matter of folding it in. And you want it almost a bit like a pancake batter. So you want a thick sauce. So this is too thick here now. I'm going to add a bit more water. Just do it slowly and fold it in so it doesn't become total liquid. The lemon juice is also going to make it whiter because the acid starts reacting. Maybe a little bit more so it's a bit drizzlier even. But it's getting there. Yeah, that's perfect now. So can you see that you want that sort of runny, but not too runny. And then into that I'm going to add salt and pepper. I quite like a little bit of paprika in there as well. You can just leave it with just a lemon and salt and pepper, and that's fine. Probably a good 1.5 teaspoons of paprika in there as well. And just work that in. And then if you wanted to, but again, at each of those steps, you could say, oh no, that's not for me. So you can stop at just the salt. You can do salt, pepper, paprika. And I'm going to now, over the top, put some za'atar, which is a spice mix. Again, from the Far East, or from the Far East, is it the Far East? Like Israel and Lebanon, these sort of Syria, those sort of countries. And that we're going to drizzle over the cauliflower. So I'm going to leave, I'm going to take these out and make the salad, the lentil salad. And I'm going to leave the others just in for a few more minutes because the cauliflower's not quite got that brown glazing yet that I wanted to have. I'm just going to give that a few more minutes while we are prepping the salad. So remember, we've got lentils in there, we've got chives, a bit of wild garlic and a bit of lemon balm, and now roasted carrots and roasted courgette. My standard favorite, Vogel's Herbamere herb salt. It always gives everything a great flavor. So we're going to add some of that together with some pepper. And then again, it's up to you. If you like sort of that sweet and sour taste, you could add lemon juice to it as well. So olive oil is always good to drizzle over your food once you have cooked it, because your body wants the oil to properly be able to absorb all the nutrients, but you don't want to necessarily cook in it. And as always, have a taste. So we've got the lentil salad and we've got the cucumber salad. So roasted cauliflower, literally you want that sort of browny color on the top. So it just turns golden. And again, these are roasted tomatoes, one of the easiest dishes you could possibly come up with. We love those for breakfast as well, just on a slice of sourdough bread or toast. And we're going to drizzle some more wild garlic flowers over them. For providing this gorgeous food for us.
Thank you.
So good. So when are we leaving on? Are we really going Wednesday?
We're going Tuesday.
Tuesday.